My name is Tova Wamsley, student number 20024177, and this is my reflective presentation for the module Recording and Production in regards to my two original pieces, Echoes of the Past and Junk Food. Ideas. During the contemplation stage of this module, when deciding what to create for my final piece, I transitioned through many possibilities. Maybe a reggae piece focusing on reverb and delay, maybe a classical piece, or maybe a piece which transitioned during the progression of it. All of these ideas did not stick with me, or prove themselves to be interesting to me or unique. However, the next idea stuck with me from when I had it until the end of the project. The idea I had was to demonstrate my ability to create two completely contrasting pieces, one which demonstrated what I can do with little to no effects, whilst the other would be a display of what I could do with multiple effects. Although the course of ideas of how the pieces should sound, the location of the recording, and the ideas for the visual aspects changed, I could be happy in saying that the initial solid idea was stuck to and saw the project to its end. Changes. In regards to changes to the project, the piece that was modified the most was Echoes of the Past. Originally, I had planned to use absolutely no effects whatsoever within the piece, and to only make use of natural echo generated by caverns and crevices within a cave. When I had the idea to record within a cave, I went out looking for one which would be suitable for the piece. Our endeavours led us to Capely Cave, near St Andrews, where we travelled to expecting to find the perfect cave for the job. We very quickly discovered how busy it was with visitors and how open the cave was. I tested the microphone placements, hit sticks together, tapped rocks against walls, clapped, and made vocal noises. However, all of the recordings were disrupted by noises of the visitors, the sound of the sea, and the lack of reverb. After visiting that cave, we looked for another and found a cave closer to our residence called the Dragon's Hole on Kinnell Hill in Perth. We followed instructions online published by two adventurers, Alex Stobie and Les Stewart. However, we were unable to find that cave. Our final attempt led us to the Hermitage north of Perth. We tested the cave even though we knew it would be too small, but to no avail. Due to the lockdown caused by coronavirus, other places with natural reverb were closed to the public, leading me to change the piece to have manipulated reverb as its only effect used. I then took it a step further and considered giving people the illusion of being in a place where they are not, and hearing what seems like natural sounds to the ear of that place. However, all sounds would be recorded in my studio using my voice, household items, and a very small handful of instruments. On the other hand, the main idea for Junk Food stayed the same. The only minor change was the idea to put a narrative to it, to help entertain the audience and to contrast completely from Echoes of the Past. Recording. Considering the recording technique that I had in mind for Echoes of the Past, originally I wanted to use my Blue Yeti in its omnidirectional function to capture all of the sound of the echoes in the cave. So when the idea took a dramatic turn, I decided instead to use the cardioid function to capture the sound directly and then change it into an atmospheric sound using only delay. With junk food, I originally planned to use the cardioid function to capture the sound. However, later on, decided that it was better to use the omnidirectional function for this piece so that I can capture all of the sound within the room so it can be fully manipulated. When recording parts with the voice in Echoes of the Past, I physically stood and sat in different parts of the room to achieve different levels of recording and to give the headphone user the sense of being in that place and surrounded by the sound, as if they are the center of that auditory universe. You may also notice that in Echoes of the Past, during the church song, there were a lot of voices involved. All were my voice. I decided to change my accent a little bit for some of the parts and change the pitch and even sung some parts out of key. The reason for this is to add to the atmospheric view that the audience member will have. It gives it a sense of authenticity, of being in an actual church with real people who are singing in their own way, because not all people sing in the same accent or the same range or even the same key. With junk food, however, I recorded most parts close-ish to the microphone, with one exception: the sound of the toppling tower of cans at the end, where I intentionally wanted the listener to feel as if they were in the same room when that event occurred, and to contrast from the rest of the piece. Some of the examples of effects that was used during this piece were distortion on some instruments, which was addressed during the video. I reversed the sound of me tapping on a glass container for coffee that was used just before the break. And megaphone was one of the main sounds that was used against one of the main vocal parts. One other big difference between my two pieces is the visual aspect. Echoes of the Past has a very static visual aspect, whilst Junk Food has a very dynamic one. In Junk Food, I had a very particular way of recording the vocals and recording the footage for it. I am now going to give you a visual demonstration of how I replicated the video with the audio. As you can see, I am now taking a drink of water from this glass, but the audio is still going. That is because the audio in Junk Food and the audio in this video are both pre-recorded, and the footage was filmed afterwards where I mimed what I was saying. I did this to give the audience members the impression that everything was happening in real time, when really everything was pre-recorded before it was all put together. What can be improved for future projects? Looking back on the project in its entirety, there are things which could be changed in the process for future projects. Considering the lack of a local space where the natural reverb could be achieved, I could have first researched the locations thoroughly before I considered travelling to them. Another way I could have prevented delay in the completion of the project is by working at my job less and focusing more on the project itself. Conclusion. Overall, I am extremely happy with the way the project turned out. I enjoyed every step of it, even though there were changes to aspects of it, and at one point I had to start again from scratch. I really enjoyed the experience.